Welcome, everybody, to the Tuesday podcast, the Rideshare Rodeo Original Gangster podcast. Not all the things that go on YouTube, but the original. This is the 262nd episode now. Jesus. Um, but this week I do have a YouTube creator with me. You guys know I like to bring those over sometimes and talk with them. So if you guys want to sit back, kick back, and listen to our conversation, and if you're interested, his channel is Gigwise. It will be in the show notes. Tim is a gig worker, multi-apper in the St. Louis market. If you're not on YouTube much, or if you're not familiar with Gigwise, Tim, you will be here shortly. Happy Labor Day, Tim.
Same to you, Steve. Thanks for inviting me here.
Yeah. So we're, I'm going to be hitting 4 years here in just like another 5 months. 4 years of the podcast. It's getting crazy. And even when I had COVID, 3 months into that damn pandemic, I still, for 5 weeks, when I didn't know what to do and I was breathing awful, I still made every Tuesday drop of a podcast. And I almost feel bad that I made that happen. But Jason Thierry told me, don't ever miss a podcast drop. It's a big deal. Don't miss your day. So I didn't. But when I go back and listen, like, you still hear me breathing like I'm dying. So those, if I ever need to, those will be my sympathy run podcasts. I'll replay them. But yeah, I'm glad to have you here. So Tim does, oddly, we're going to get into a few different things, but Tim does a lot. He has a kind of an interesting background like mine, a lot of bar and restaurant stuff. And as well as he also doesn't favor the primary app that almost every gig worker does, even the multi-appers. Like, we all know this. Rideshare driver, everybody, the primary app is DoorDash. People love it. And I know you have it or access to it. I do too. I choose not to use it, and I still do pretty well. But before we even get into all of that, can you like walk us in a nutshell, like through just your history coming up to the gig, like leading up to the gig economy?
Oh, wow. That's a long time ago.
I mean, you can just short note it, just so know we're like how you're coming into this, because a lot of people don't come in with a lot of customer service. You are, and
basically, I started before I was 16 years old. I got a job at a restaurant as a dish dog, and I kind of fell in love with that industry altogether, and just kept working at my ideal goal was to own a bar at some point. And this was when I was 16, 17 years old, when Larry with the Navy kept calling me because I did really good on a placement test in junior high, or not junior high, when I was a junior in high school. And I tried to do bad on it, but I did really good on it accidentally. So he wouldn't leave me alone. He's like, what do you want to do when you get out of school? I said, I want to own a nightclub. I was 17 years old. I wanted to own a nightclub. Well, I worked in them. I never owned one. I came close on the last one I worked at, and that was the final straw. I went from I worked in about every type of bar you can think of except for a hotel.
So when you say nightclub, wait, first, what I mean, I because I'm older, I know you probably don't care either, but like, what kind of nightclub era are we talking?
Well, at the time,
what was the era? So
late 80s there, and I was shortly after that, I started spending some time in some teen dance club when the Hammer Pants were popular, and Bobby Brown and all that, and something like that, something with the good dance floor, exotic mixed drinks, you name it. I wanted it all. Now the teen clubs I was not allowed to drink in because I was not 21, but I saw potential in it, and I worked in them and I came to the point I didn't like them. I prefer like the corner dive bars.
Yeah.
They're easier to staff, and that's that Delivrd app interrupted me again.
Yeah.
Qdoba, New House Ferry. I got to look at this real quick. They send you the offer first on the app, then they send you a follow up with a text to meet, usually right afterwards, telling you what it's going to pay. This one's going to want me to drive really far for $25.09 again. The last one was $25.19. Those are not acceptable.
Yeah. And we'll get to Delivrd too, because I do have a question about. I'm kind of I have a few questions, to be honest, and I haven't even started, but I already have questions, and I think they're legit ones.
Do you use iPhone or do you use Android, Steve?
I use iPhone.
Okay.
But so okay, so what was so coming out of the bar industry, which a little bit of that'll probably come into play in our conversation, but when was the move into the gig economy? Was it full time right away?
The last bar I worked for, the owner sold it. I was supposed to be a part of the new ownership, but I got cut out of that 2 days after my boss was out of the picture. So then I had health issues for like the next year and a half. Then I went into produce at a grocery store chain that actually went out of business. So I went to AutoZone and learned to hate that place. I was a manager at AutoZone for 3.5 years. The pandemic hit, the lockdowns. I was an essential worker, so I had to work like crazy because we cut our staff down to bare bones. We laid off everybody, and the workload didn't stop.
So when the pandemic hit, you were still at AutoZone.
Yes.
And now you were like skeleton crew.
Yes, and the workload was increased. We were breaking sales records for going back years because no one had anything to do, so they were getting the free stimmy check money and just fixing their cars. I mean, I work in the city, live in the city, and a lot of people buy cars in the city, so they're prone to break down immediately after they buy them. So they were going crazy. So I finally had it and quit and took about a 5-month sabbatical. And I'm like, all right, time to get back to it. My whole plan the whole time was to get into Instacart. I talked to a customer that I had at AutoZone, and she was telling me how she's working basically part-time hours, breaking $1,000 a week. And I'm like, really? And that sounds like it for me. But I did not start with Instacart. I started with Uber Eats because I found out that they had 24 hours or something like that to take their tip away from you. And now it's 2 hours. But I learned I got an Instacart about a year after I started. But Uber Eats and that one that you were mentioning, DoorDash, I didn't. From the first delivery, I hated that app. But Uber Eats is my go-to on food delivery when you're talking just single orders. And then I'm also Instacart, Spark, Curri.
Yeah.
Curri, now Delivrd. I am on Delivrd but I haven't started working for them yet. I've been on them for quite a while. I'm on Amazon Flex. I've been on board with them for 2 years, and I've never done a block.
Yeah,
because I can't get them.
Oddly, Amazon's normally in my market. And by the way, guys, like I know I say this enough, but I introduced him as being from the St. Louis market. If you're not familiar, oddly, St. Louis, I mean, just like Denver, it's like throwing straws when it comes to big cities. Some are, some aren't. But I mean, in overall, too, like overall on the gig app, St. Louis is an amazing gig market. Just like Denver, you can do very well playing these apps even though we've seen tighter times and all this, that, and the other, compared to other cities. I talk to market all the time, and St. Louis is another strong city. It just
some people out there in the gig world on some of the gig tubers are not necessarily gig tubers, but I see them in other people's gig channel, Discord channels. Don't think that we're a very big, busy when a city or at least busy when it comes to gig work. And I'm like, well, it just depends on how you work it. I mean, it's been proven. Our friend Pedro, he's one that's proven that you can just pretty much primarily on DoorDash can make quite a bit. And I've got another Delivrd coming in. Jesus.
Yeah, I mean we've had more than just Pedro though. I mean, like there's I think
Dash and Trader.
Yeah, I mean other creators too, but I'm talking about like Michelle Sleet. Do you know Michelle, right?
No, I don't know her.
Okay, Michelle. Well, Michelle lives in St. Louis. She runs the 2 largest DoorDash groups on Facebook in the world.
Oh, really?
Yeah, between the two, she has over 200,000 active users. And we've had her on the podcast a few times. Michelle always has interesting things to say about DoorDash and Saint. Like, I mean, guys, there's no, we can beat, and we do often. You guys know this. We can beat on DoorDash all we want, but most people, that is their primary gig.
Oh, it's their go-to. Absolutely.
I mean, I even know rideshare drivers who hate food delivery who tell me they do more DoorDash these days than rideshare, but it's starting to maybe tip the other way. So we'll see. But
I know here DoorDash is the dominant food app. It's way busier, but also there's lots of more low ball offers too, like
Yeah.
low paying offers.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that I did want to get into. So, I mean, I guess while we're here, like let's just jump on DoorDash for a minute before we move into these other things. Because I always take things out of order and just kind of go with the flow. But I've got my bullet points here. So, specifically you, because I know why me, and I've talked about me enough times. But why don't you care as much about DoorDash? I understand the low ball offers. I understand the wasting of time and all this,
Right.
but is it just that? I mean, because with me, like there's, people could still claim that DoorDash is the way I should be going here, but I just, I don't know if it's some of the Paris stuff that I remind being sued by DoorDash and how much I just hate them for everything about them. I don't know, but it's something different than all the other apps. When I turn it on, I feel like I'm being forced to do something.
Absolutely.
I'm just like,
I was told just 3 or 4 days ago by someone that they're like, just because they rely on DoorDash in their market. Some people have to do that, or they think they have to do that. That's what I always say. They think they have to, but they said just because you can't make money on DoorDash, I'm like, whoa. I never said I couldn't make money on DoorDash. I don't like the app. I don't like how it's ran. I don't like the hoops they make you jump. I say often they run it like a circus and make you jump through all these hoops to get anything. They make it, at least they make you think that's what you have to do, and people do it. They make you try and be top dasher for this, all these things to become a part of the large order program, which is still difficult for people to get into. And honestly, that's the only reason I would do anything. But even if you do get the large order program, you still have to be able to dash. If you're not top dasher, you can't dash now. So then there's those other hoops you got to jump through. You got to maintain all this stuff. It's too much of a job. So it can stress people. And you see on all the YouTube channels, I mean, if they didn't have DoorDash to complain about, what else are they going to talk about? I mean, they don't, that's all they do. They go on and on with the glitch and whatnot. Everything's a glitch on that all the time. But I just think to leave it off and live a less stress-free life, or a more stress-free life.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
Don't even get me going on the glitch again, because I've buried it, because I keep well, I know I gotta say this because I've only mentioned it in passing once kind of publicly, but I gotta remind people. First of all, for those audio podcast listeners who don't know, the glitch is simply force closing an Android phone. It only works on Android while being active on DoorDash, putting it into airplane mode and closing it. It doesn't only lower your acceptance, it raises it. It doesn't make sense, but it happens. But there's 100 glitches. And when I did stuff for Para at our height in Tip Transparency 1, before we got the cease and desist, and before the second time 5 months later when we had it back up, and before the second ceased. But the first time we were rolling, we had 238,000 or 246,000 altogether users, Android and iPhone, who were using tip transparency through Para. Okay. I was telling everybody to onboard. In fact, when I told David we should start slowing it, he said, nope, tell everybody, So to those of you saying that something was hid, first of all, it's every person's right to do whatever they want. But secondly, I threw it I turned 230,000 of you onto it. So don't ever include me in that stuff, because there it was. But at the same time, guess what? This other glitch, this thing, I haven't done my research on. I don't have an Android phone. Therefore, if I don't do it, I'm never going to tell you to do it, ever. I would never even talk about it if I don't do it. Doesn't make sense.
The acceptance rate glitch, it worked on iPhones and Androids, and probably still does. I never really used it.
Again, though, the listeners are listening to two people who don't even do DoorDash. Dude, to me, why would I do that? Because I literally don't even. I'm not in the app but an hour a month.
What's funny is all these people that do DoorDash, all the people that do DoorDash, that are all upset and butthurt at some of these gig tubers because they didn't let everybody know about it. I don't do DoorDash, and I knew about it for a long time. Yeah. And you and I are the only two I see in people's chats saying it's been on Reddit. Subreddit groups for a year.
So at least a year. I've posted it. So I think it's either October or it was November.
October 22nd is when I saw you post.
Okay, so October.
I remember numbers.
October of 22.
Yeah.
This was on Reddit, you guys. Reddit's the largest website in the world. I mean,
and it's been there.
I'm sorry, like, just, like, it's just ridiculous. And this is why I hate even spinning out with it, because I like watching some of the other live streams do this on YouTube, but this is the kind of thing where I think my audio podcast people are like, dude, this is why I don't go to YouTube. And I don't blame you guys. I think you guys are right, man. Might be toxic as all crap.
It's crazy on the with all these the hate and everything going on with all over that, and I just don't care. A lot of times, I just say that I read the thumbnails, and if they're focusing on the DoorDash, I don't watch the video because I don't care. I want to see stuff on things that can potentially make me a whole lot more money than running a bunch of food deliveries or jumping through a bunch of hoops to get to the large order program to get smaller catering orders than what I see on other apps.
But here's I wanted to throw this at you and see what you thought of this, because I always try and spitball ideas and stuff before I take it to Paraworks, or but I put it in terms of DoorDash, and I wanted to know, because we see people say don't, I know Pedro's thing about no tip, no trip, and other people back that, and I believe that too, because I can look at the numbers, and without the tip, it's not worth the trip. So I get that. It's very simple. But people I see talking about base pay, like, oh, base pay is $2 now. I've been saying for a while, remove base pay. Base pay, $0. Don't let DoorDash have the ability to get good PR out of that and say, oh, we pay our drivers. Remove it. For independent contractors, remove it. No base pay. Now, the final stage of the ordering process is, how quickly do you want your food? If you can wait an hour and a half, you can have your food for a $2 order or whatever. But now you don't have to think about it like tip. But if you want to pay $9, you can have it in 15 minutes. I mean, why can't that be the case and just be fully transparent? DoorDash takes their hand out of the mix. They have no more all their lawsuits about employees go away under this, by the way.
I don't think they would do that, because then I'm sure they charge the fee they charge the customer. That base pay that the driver comes out of that. So if they eliminated that base pay, I don't know how they would do that, because they would lose money on their end, probably, because they would. I know they probably still take a fee. And
I would just say, I mean, again, they went a different route than I would have. They, according to Tony's shoe, they put they have 13 million DoorDashers. Okay, just to put this into perspective, you guys, like, Mike Harubi and I were doing statistics for what independent contractor looks like as of last year, because if you ever look for stats, a lot of times to find true stats, you're usually going back 2 years. I don't know why they're so slow, but it takes them a long time. You usually can't go find 2022 stats that you can rely on. You'll go back to like 2021. So in 2021, they said 59 million independent contractor workers, including app-based ones. Mike and I have that tallied at about 68 million now, which is just shy. It's about 38% of the US workforce. So if you say that, okay, so 68, so let's just say that 185 million people are independent or are working in this country. Okay, that's everybody working W-2 and independent contractorship. 13 million of those DoorDash. Do you know how insane that is? That 8% of our population is a DoorDasher.
That's crazy. Yeah, the September 2021, what you say, that's the same as like ChatGPT. That's where you can only find out information up till September 2021 on there. And yeah. I just asked it that question: how many estimated gig workers are there out there right now? And it didn't give me an answer. It didn't give me a number.
Yeah, if you put in independent contractors, it might be something over 59, but it probably would be under 65 million. But we've been checking that, and it's not really.
With Paraworks, I know in other people's markets I've been hearing they've been doing a few here and there. I honestly don't get enough here in St. Louis, and I'm not sure why. A lot of times when I do, they're on the other side of the river over in Illinois. I don't get many on this side. And what's weird is there's supposed to be catering orders, and I've got a couple. I'm in bed, and it's going off. I got an order for like 10:49 p.m. from a Steak and Shake. It's one was 10:47, one was 10:49. I've had two of them now, going about 2 miles from that Steak and Shake. It's not a bad order. It's paying like $35, but it's like after 10 o'clock at night. I'm like, who's ordering a catering?
Are they scheduled for the next day?
No, it's for right then.
Oh, that's weird.
And it's weird. I'm like, it's happened to me twice now. I'm like, it's never when
I would even, to be honest, and I this is just me. I'm always transparent, even though I have the best of ties with Para in every way. I've worked with them since day one. I still always am straight up honest with them. That's the kind of thing where I'd like to get the screenshots from you to let them know, because I have to wonder if that's like an order that just hasn't been filled, but even like the location might be closed.
Right.
It could be just dumping out something, and it's important for us to find that kind of stuff. So
kind of like on the Rodeo app when it was two something in the morning, and they're pinging me saying this chicken coop really needs to be delivered. It had been in the system for 2 days. It's like 2 something. It was, I don't know, 2 something in the morning. It was a 350-pound chicken coop. You needed a flatbed trailer, and they're only paying $54. And nobody wanted to deliver it or could deliver it because it wouldn't fit in a truck, wouldn't fit in a van. You had to have a trailer. But I'm like, the place isn't open to pick it up. The customer's surely not going to want to get a delivery at 3 a.m. I'm like, get it out of the system. That's another one I haven't ever taken a delivery on is Rodeo. I tried accepting one time and it didn't go through.
So before we hit on, I wanted to talk about Spark and Dlivrd, and I got this one other topic, but before we hit on that, I wanted to ask you about third-party apps. Which ones you use, have you tried? And even if maybe you don't use any at all on a regular basis, and I just say this because, again, I'm not, and this isn't me endorsing, this is me asking Tim Gigwise what he uses, just in case you guys listening always want to hear about stuff. Maybe he tells you about something you don't know about. I don't know.
Actually, not really. I don't use many. I use Gridwise for my mileage tracker, and I've used Paraworks. I have Para, but I used it when it worked with DoorDash, and that was an absolute game changer. That made me want to use DoorDash because I could make money. But at the end of the night, Uber Eats still came back and beat DoorDash in earnings, even without being able to see the transparency. It's just that's how it works for me. I get lucky with Uber Eats here. A lot of people don't.
Gridwise is something I've known about for years too. And I use Hurdler too. Like, I know people have all these other ones. Hurdler kind of does your taxes too. This is long before Solo and stuff, but it has a mileage tracker in there. Almost all these apps have mileage trackers these days. Well, actually, I just really like the fact that Hurdler was built to work directly with QuickBooks and to work directly with Intuit products. Gotcha. And it can export that file directly with all of your tracking and everything. So
a lot of the mileage trackers, Gridwise being one of them, it seems like they're more geared towards rideshare drivers. They can really help the rideshare driver out.
So the Hurdler
airport schedules.
I'll even say this, you guys. Like, I'm not promoting her. I mean, I am. I'm telling you, I like it, but Gigwise or Gridwise has. I think Gridwise is a little more built. The Hurdler thing I'm talking about does have a self-employment option, and when you're in there, it does have a rideshare delivery option too. Like, it does subcategory to that to help you. But it's more robust in what Tim is talking about. Like, that app is a little better, except for, as far as I know, Gridwise does not do tax stuff, and that's a big deal.
Yeah, I just use it for the mileage tracker. That's all it's for. And sometimes it doesn't work. That's kind of annoying, but I'll check it later on, because once I start it when I leave my house, I don't pay attention.
No, I mean, I believe Gridwise has been a great app. I think it's been very good.
There's a buddy of mine's cousins down in the Memphis area. He uses something. I can't remember what he said it was, but it really helps him with his rideshare. He does Lyft and Uber rideshare and Uber rides, whatever it's called. And I don't know why. I wish I could remember what it was, but it nothing pertained to me that he was showing me, because I don't do rideshare, and usually it just kind of goes in one ear and out the other. I'm like, yeah, sure. Good. That's great. Awesome for you, buddy. It doesn't mean anything to me. kind of shallow when it comes to that.
So, you guys, if you're looking for some DoorDash talk, you're not going to get it on the other side of this. We're going to talk about a little Spark. We're going to talk about a little Delivrd. And then I got a situational thing I want to put because I saw Tim commenting on it. Before we talk about Spark and Delivrd, because I definitely almost forgot about Delivrd. So I'm glad we got reminded of that at the very beginning of the show when you were getting some offers. But
My favorite
I also
app.
wanted to
I
ask you
won't let
about some
you
Spark
forget.
stuff. But the one thing I wanted to ask you first was because I think I saw it in a live chat. I saw Bud Soda comment on it, and I saw your comment. I was thinking about all this stuff because I've been thinking about it anyway. I saw you mention something about masking, and I believe you and I kind of probably handled a lot of the first pandemic, probably the same. To each his own. I'm really not here to advertise all of that. But as we move into school and back into the winter months and the threat of potential federal state masking policies, which it's not just alt news, you guys. I mean, you've seen these threats everywhere. I don't know if some of you want to call them threats. I call them threats because if you're talking about them now in a pre-fashion when we never know that kind of thing, it sounds more threatening even than it already, I believe, is in the first place. So, and God forbid other mandates regarding public health that exceed masking kind of thing that would affect traveling or, even, at the most extreme stay-at-home orders. I saw I believe you said something about, would this help gig work for a while? And I saw Bud Soda's answer about, I think in the short term it would help the gig worker, in the long term would hurt the economy. And I believe that, I mean, would it create more business, or would the oversaturation of gig workers overpower of the earnings seen in 2020? Would people even go to food delivery or order from it, or would it be more grocery delivery? And I ask this because um, what happens, we know the government assistance isn't going to be there. At least like it was, even with the current administration, it won't be. We know that we're in a recession. No, everybody can call it what they will. We're in a recession. There's crazy inflation. There's not a lot of sunshine coming down in any of these areas. And I just don't, even in the short term, see how it would help. But I guess my question is this something that concerns you? Because when I heard you say that, I was like, I don't talk about this with a lot of people. And I've been seeing a lot of this.
I unfortunately wasn't around for the first part to benefit from the rise in the gig work, and I hear stories of people made a lot of money.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a lot of people that won't bend a knee to it. But I think there's still going to be a lot that will, and hopefully will benefit some from them. But
I mean, do you think, first of all, do you think this is coming back? Do you think we're moving into masking again?
I haven't researched it enough. I've just been hearing some bits and pieces on the
Yeah, I know.
internet
I mean,
about it,
just
but
your opinion, like your gut feeling.
it wouldn't surprise me with this administration, honestly. It could happen, but I don't think it's going to go over like it did the last time. I think there's going to be a lot of people standing up to it, a lot more than before.
Yeah,
Because like me, I'll be one of them, because one, I can't wear a mask. Doctor said, and nobody can ask me why. Because that was a problem I had with AutoZone. They kept trying to make me wear a mask, and I said I can't. I missed 3 days of work because I wore a mask.
Yeah, and
that's
you know what?
story.
You know what? Really, I got not to this happens here on this podcast, so I'm going to just sidestep a little here, but I got to say, it's very crazy to me that during the first pandemic, however you played your decisions about vaccination or masking or any of this stuff, every single person's HIPAA laws were violated.
Yeah.
I mean, for all the weight we give HIPAA laws, we literally ripped them out. This country ripped them out of your hands and said, we don't care. We don't care about what's been one of the most important fights we have. I don't know. That very much concerns me. I don't know if we're even moving back to masking. That's why when I saw your comment, I read all these articles, but I also know how these, I have to, when I see an article, I have to look at what publication is it. And if it's not one that normally would run that, then I might be like, okay. And I look into it. but they just don't seem to have any meat on the bone of these. Like, again, like you were saying, like, I don't think people are going to play ball.
No, they're
I
not.
don't think
I
that. I
don't
mean,
think they
dude,
will.
no small business. Ball. I
We
mean, look
lost.
at the few small business through the damn pandemic. They're not going to play ball again. They're
My
done.
cousin just owns a dart shop, throwing darts. He had a
Yep.
dart, triple threat darts in vape shop or something. COVID knocked him out of business. He just now, like a week and a half ago, got a new location, a fraction of the size of his old one because the money's not there that he had before. And if this hits again, he's just going to throw in the towel, I think, on it. But he's all excited. He just got it open back up. And right about then's when I started hearing this stuff about this. I haven't even talked to him about it because I just don't want him to think about what happened before, because he's pretty happy right now. He's got a new place, and I don't know how busy he is yet. I stopped in there last week, and only person came in was trying to mooch money. Had a backpack on,
Yeah. Well,
I said,
takes a while. It takes a while to build a business.
I said, kick this guy out. He just wants.
But one of the reasons I asked this too is because I try and do this in each podcast, and I would love, everybody, all the audio podcast listeners, I love this. Please email, and anybody listening to this, if it's on YouTube or wherever you're hearing it, you guys email me, steve@ridesharerodeo.com, and let me know I'd like to know what you think. Is masking coming back? And do you have concerns about it? And what are they? And everything's anonymous, and it's just between me and you, but I take it all into the weight of bringing back the story next week. You guys know that I don't, unless I talk to you first and we were to really go through the breakdown, I don't use names, I don't use anything. So, but I do like the data to be able to just look at it and go, okay, look, a lot of people are saying this or this. And I'd like to know what you think, because none of us had any warning at all that would ever happen in our lifetime. So there was never a way to be asked that question before. It wouldn't have made sense to us. Now it does. So please send me an email, leave it in the comments of any of the pod players you're listening on, whether it be Apple, whether it be Amazon Music, whether it be Spotify, or any of the thousands of podcatchers globally. But yeah, I'm just curious, because I know we're heading into those months, and I'm starting to see weird stuff at school. I know we're starting to see some breakouts, but the people I know who are getting COVID, it's for shorter times than it's ever been. And it just doesn't seem like I'm more concerned, not to be, I know a lot of people need to be very concerned about COVID, and we all are, but I'm more concerned about getting a serious pneumonia or a flu.
Oh, that's still there. That
I
was part
know,
of
but
my,
I'm saying,
that was
but
part of my
I'm more
health.
concerned about that than a COVID, because I've had COVID a handful of times.
That was part of what got me down for a year and a half. The second leg of that health problem was pneumonia, and doctor said,
Yeah,
I thought I just had a flu bug, and she told me I should check myself in the hospital for a couple of weeks. I said that was in an urgent care. I was already paying out the wazoo because I was out of work. I didn't have any insurance, and I'm like, this is all coming out of my pocket. I should have listened to her, because I'm still affected from that, and that's been 6-7 years now. And I ripped, pulled, tore every ligament, muscle, and tendon in the left side of my chest from coughing one morning. There was a dent in my chest, and it was, if I coughed or laughed, it was like the Butterball turkey timer, whatever. When it was done, the pop that pops out, something was popping out. You could literally hear it, and it was painful for the first couple of weeks, but it was still popping for about 6 months after that, and it's just weird. But yeah, I should have listened to her.
No, you saying that actually reminded me of I had a double hernia, and it just reminded me that same type of thing, that bulging coming through when you're like you're in denial, like it'll go away.
It does go away. I have a hernia. I never got repaired. I do have a hernia. I never, and it was from taking out the damn cook's kitchen trash. They didn't take the trash out one night, and I took it out. And that thing was that trash can was so heavy, and I figured it out real quick that I screwed something up, and that was 1996 or 7. I still haven't had
mine was opening day of the Rockies in 2004. We had the bar for 2 years. And I'd been in the industry for much longer, but we had 90 kegs in the room for opening day for Rockies.
Oh God, I don't miss moving.
And so I was like climbing up a mountain of kegs, which you shouldn't be doing, but if Tim was there, who's been in the industry, he would agree. He would have looked at it and said, yeah, you can do that.
Yeah,
It
hell
made
yeah.
sense to me too, and everybody what I did. But somehow something slipped, and while I was up there, like me fumbling and just trying to grab and wait, it just split both. So I had to have
Oh damn.
surgery done almost immediately. But
Yeah, I didn't. Because
yeah,
that's another part of the being in the bar industry is usually not health benefits with that either.
No, and that's and that's another thing too that look, you and I have both been in. I've talked about it on this podcast a lot, but people I've tried to make these comparisons of like the down hours, like when, lunch rush is over and you're not, and it's a weekday and, it's 2 to 3 hours of downtime. And you're actually doing, if you're a wait staff or a bartender, you're doing dishes or silverware or things
Side
like this
work, man.
and you're not
Yeah.
making any money. I mean,
No.
let's be honest. I mean, what they paid me here in Denver in the 2000s, it was $2.13 an hour for bartenders and $3.25 for servers.
I think the lowest I ever worked for was 190 and 209.
And so for those that haven't been in
An hour.
the service industry and who are like saying, what the hell are you and Tim talking about? Like, you guys, when are you working in the 20s or something? Like, no,
Well,
like this is how it works in the service. When you make tips, this is how it works.
Yeah, they only have to pay you half of whatever minimum wage is. That's pretty much the law. But
yeah,
I know I've worked for less than half of what minimum wage was because I primarily relied on tips. Tips were good. I could do that. And I've worked for a pizza joint where I actually didn't get paid
I mean, like,
all.
I don't know if this was the same for you, but if I had the like, so I became a manager. I was an owner at one of the places. So, I mean, like, I've been through all those phases too. But like, if I was just doing bartending for 2 weeks, which I've done on many occasions, and no managing shifts or anything of that sorts, just bartending, had a lot of good shifts, made a ton of money during baseball season. A lot of times I would go pick up a 70-80 hour paycheck that would be like $4.
Yeah. After taxes.
And I don't think a lot of people get that. It's that when you enter, your credit cards and your cash tips, if you enter your cash tips, but,
it would, yeah.
when you enter your tips, it offsets your check. So again, you take another loss and a beating.
Yeah, the actual working delivering like pizzas for let's say a Domino's or any kind of mom and pop pizza joint, you actually got paid at least minimum wage and your tips, and usually the delivery fee. I know one place I work for, I didn't get an hourly pay. They gave you a bank, depending on what shift you worked, and I usually worked from open through the dinner shift 7 days a week because I was a bomb ass driver, and I was banking. I mean, she's 15 years ago, and I was averaging about $9 to $9.50 cash a week out of that place, and that was good money back then. But you didn't exist. You were not an employee. You weren't on paper anywhere in there.
Yeah.
That's the only place I've ever worked for like that, and they still do it the same way today. I don't know how they get away with it, but Domino's, they put you. I was actually delivering for Domino's when they started their delivery fee. It was 50 cents, and the driver got zero of it, and that was bullshit.
Yeah.
That was a little short period.
You know what I mean? Like, by the way, too, those people who look, I'm not talking about everybody who, like the Julie Sue, California people who ripped off $42 billion from the pandemic, but just so you guys are aware too, bartenders who work full time and stuff, if they did need pandemic assistance during the pandemic, they wouldn't make anything because that was based on their pay.
Yep.
And that meant you got like nickels.
Being in the industry all that time, I know a lot of bartenders, and now they're real estate agents and they clean houses. And some of them are getting back into bartending now that things are coming back alive, and it's still not back up to it. I mean, our biggest local grocery store chain used to have several locations. Most of them were open 24 hours. They close at 10. Still, none of them have came back up. The 24/7 Walmarts are still closing at 11. And I think a lot of it might be due to staff, or I don't know why. Yeah. They didn't make.
I don't know, but I don't know about you, Tim. But when I was in the industry, no matter all the places I've worked, Look, I almost hate to admit this, but look, everybody in the bar industry is always running a low grade fever. It's
A
like
fever?
you guys are always minimally sick.
Yeah. Well, it's because of the part of it, and that's in my notes for this when we're comparing the two, is the lifestyle that comes with, especially working in bars, not so much restaurants, but they've got their, I mean, the working in kitchens, I've seen so many people that live on weed and energy drinks, really. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what
Oh,
keeps
yeah.
them going. And it gets a little worse in the bar. There's other
Oh, yeah.
temptations out there, but yeah, I don't, when I'm finished working doing gig work for the day, um, I'm not going across the river to a 24-hour bar, because now I'm off. It's my turn. I'm not blowing all my money, so there's always
No.
money left over. I don't have that lifestyle. In fact, it's the gig work is kind of addicting, whereas bar work is like, ah, shit, I got to work again. Damn,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
already
yeah, yeah.
here.
You
I
don't
sometimes look
even get
more.
me started, man.
I
Because
look,
on like day games, I'd be like, I mean, we were doing like 16, 18-hour days and then having like clopens back to back.
yeah.
You
Oh
know,
yeah,
and by the
working.
way, folks, a clopen is where you open or
Yeah,
where you open to close. Well, for me, it was open to close, but it's where you close and then have to open. But for me, it was open to close, often another open to close. So it was like
the
that incentive to even go in was just gone. I mean,
the
like
last
you
bar I
just
ran, we were a 3 a.m.
woo.
bar, and 3 a.m. means we closed at 3 a.m. And there's a lot of times I was there. We opened at about 10:30, and I was there 9:30, 10 in the morning, and leaving at 4:30 in the morning. And then back, I had a good friend of mine. He's like, I don't know how you do it, because a lot of times those later hours I was getting pretty snookered. And he's like, and you're back here the next day every day. And I'm like, yeah, 5.5 months straight I worked there. My first 5.5 months, not one day off, no days off, not a sick day, not a leisure time, nothing. And that's what it took.
Yeah.
But finally I started getting Sundays off. And I turned that into Sunday
Yeah.
fun day on the golf cart. But yeah, also with
I mean, at the same time, seems like we're kind of bagging on. I gotta say, like, I don't regret my years in the bar industry. Those were
oh, it was a blast.
I had some amazing
It
years,
sucked.
man.
It sucked, but it was a blast. It,
Yeah,
um, but
and
also,
it's definitely look. I mean, I think most people know this, but I was even telling my son, like, look, man, I think you guys like it's his senior year now. He has a job as a lifeguard and he's really kind of stepped up his game. He's doing some coaching and stuff, but he never had to do one of the now he got this job on his own and all that at a younger age than I started, but I started in the restaurant industry too. And I feel like everybody needs some service industry background.
oh yeah,
It's kind of service industry what he does, but it's more like saving lives and like things I'm into now in my later
one of
life.
my
But
that was actually one of my first job over the summer, was a lifeguard apartment complex here in St. Louis. I think it paid $4 an hour, and I had to learn CPR. And
yep.
hardly anybody ever went in that pool, so it was usually just me and chilling out. And I'd let my friends come out there that didn't live in the apartment complex. So that was
So
about it.
my son just turned 17. He's worked there for uh, maybe a year and a half, and he's making almost $19 an hour.
Jesus, yeah, I think about $4. I don't think I made more than that,
I
because
mean,
this was like
17 years old,
I
making
think that was
19 bucks an
19.
hour.
Minimum wage at the time was 3.35. I know I made just a little over minimum wage, and
But
but
this is
not
one of
one
those
more.
things they've had trouble ever since the pandemic keeping lifeguards staffed.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know why.
That's a pretty easy job when I did it, but I mean, I only did it that one summer.
Yeah.
I did.
But he keeps doing these in services and like if you go to an in service every month. Again, this is the kind of thing too that I talk about all the time with independent contractorship. Like guys, like look, like my son when he goes to an in service, he's paid like maybe $15 for his whole day's time, but he gives up 2 to 5 hours. You guys might look at that as like, dude, I'm not working for that. He doesn't. He works because that gets him a raise and gets him better shifts. And
Yeah.
you got to look at everything as pieces, man. Like sometimes, it's like the learning curve of coming on these apps. That's when I don't worry about it. And in a second, we'll even get to that because I want to talk about Dlivrd. But first, I do want to get just because whenever I have people who have done a lot of Spark, I like to get their opinion. I never got brought on. I'm still waitlisted. I have been for a long time, but even in our market, like Lisa and Tony, the Drivens, they were both on Spark, and from the get go, they said it sucked. And I know that the Drivens and me are on the same page. Like we feel the same way about Instacart. Not both, we don't like it, but we both feel the same way about the offers. Like, do you see it like this? Like, yeah, like we see why it doesn't work for the same reasons. Spark, they were on it like during the heyday, and they were like, this sucks, when all of you guys were like raging it everywhere.
Oh yeah, Spark was awesome last year when I first started it, and I started Spark. I really got on blowing the DDI up, the delivery driver.
I should preface that by saying that for those that don't know, in case you don't, Spark is Walmart, by the way.
Yeah, Walmart Spark. In Instacart, I'd gotten 2 4-star whatever reviews or whatever, 2 4-star. Yeah, they rate ratings, and it seemed like right after that, my good offers just stopped cold, and I right after that got onto Spark, and Spark was fire from the gate. I mean, 3 months I made $12,800 in 3 months just on Spark. That didn't include anything else I did in that 3 months.
I felt like people who got on Spark at that time, like here in this market, so we have Van and all these other people too. Everybody who tried Spark here really didn't pan out for them like that, even when it launched. And normally, by the way, again, Denver's an amazing gig working town. Just some of the apps just never really have been that great, even from day one.
You got those food trucks too late at night. I see Van going to. I'm like, gosh, I wish I had those here.
Oh, dude, we have tons. Yeah,
the late night crowd here. It's at like 9:30. You got possibly Taco Bell, possibly McDonald's. I say possibly because you never know if they're going to be open. And we got White Castle and maybe some 7-Eleven orders. It sucks.
Yeah.
And I see you guys in Denver with the food trucks, but Jonathan K down in Miami with the late night food trucks, and that's all they do is online orders, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, Spark I did really good with, and then December I didn't do much work at all last year because I had some kind of bug. It kept coming and going, and I just didn't feel right. And I had money banked up, so I could do that. But January sucks in the gig world. And
always.
And I thought Spark would probably still be doing good. And for whatever reason, it wasn't either. Because I'm like, people still got to get their groceries. I should have no problem. And it's
but in the beginning of the year, okay. So first of all, Spark, for those that aren't 100% familiar, and I'm not going to go into the full history, but so Walmart Spark launched well after the pandemic. It wasn't one of those pandemic launches. It came out last year or whatever. I mean,
it's been around a couple of years at least. I know.
Right,
I was on a waiting list for about 6 months, and I started. I got multiple phones, multiple email addresses. I don't know what account I actually signed up with, to be honest, because I started changing because my market was full. So I was going back and changing what market I wanted to work in to one that was open.
Right.
And it was the night before I got approved finally. I just changed that all again on one of them, if not both of them. I don't remember. And then all of a sudden the next day I'm on board. And like Pedro's still over a year, still on that waiting list. And sometimes you just got to go back and try it again. I think they throw your information out after.
I happen to think that too. After the thing with the Drivens, I was like, well, okay. I mean, like they couldn't even do it when it was raging, and I don't even hear anything about it around. It's crickets about it around here now.
Well, I got a lot,
and that's where I was going to now. Is like now it is maybe not crickets, but it's not that great for you either, is it?
It's terrible, but there is ways to make money on it. And like when I first started doing it, Bud Soda gave me a lot of coaching on how to do it, and but that was his market. What works in his market didn't work in my market. I kind of took what everybody was telling me, wadded it up, and threw it out the window. Developed a whole new style to do it here. Different from any gig tuber I watched. Bud Soda, Rideshare Lisa was another one telling me how she did it up in her market, which is pretty close to Bud Soda. It didn't work. None of that worked. But I developed my own little method. It worked, and it was working great until it wasn't. Until January, and there just wasn't any. The offers were gone. I wasn't seeing anything good. I wasn't seeing as many. I mean, I've seen as many as 186 offers, Spark offers on my phone at one time. It does so many, and it refreshes. You try and scroll down and look. You can't look at them all. It just I learned a trick for that. I logged off. I'd actually log off the app. Then it wouldn't refresh so much, and I could scroll through as they were expiring, but I could at least get to the bottom of the list and kind of cherry pick what I wanted out of there. Yeah. But now they don't even. I might see 20, 25 offers at best, and most of those are about 3 o'clock in the afternoon when they drop all the Sam's Club orders that nobody wants to pick up. they've been in the system all day. And
Yeah, I mean that's how John Dash says it too. Like, you know, for those that don't know Dash Theory, John's awesome. He's one of the guys that does the Wednesday round or the Thursday roundtable with us. And when I was starting on Shipped, I learned every single thing from only Shipped videos from John. I went to his channel and
I'm on
he had
Shipped.
the full breakdown on Shipped.
Yeah, I'm on Shipped as well.
And so I was like, okay. And so I learned everything from John's channel. But so the Spark thing, I feel like it came and I feel like it's already going. And I feel like some people, yes, still pull it off. I know, like Dashing Grandpa, I know he's been really, hot about Spark lately. It's not doing good for him. I know John can still do okay, but almost sounded like you did. Like there's, you can do okay, but you gotta
can't
do
rely
these
on
things now. I
can't rely on
juggle
Spark.
while you take the orders, and you gotta.
They've started the new triple grocery stacks where there's 3 grocery orders on one. It's like triple batch. Like Instacart's been doing that a long time, but these are curbside. You don't have to go in and shop.
Oh yeah,
and they're just 3 bad orders put together
yeah.
is all it is. And I refuse to do them. I mean, I saw a triple yesterday for $17. One of them had like 80 items on it. One had 47, and the other one had like 14. But that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it
for
is.
$17. And I'm like, you're out of your mind. I hit reject. And and they come out as these round robins, which
but how many miles would the 3 deliveries be?
That one I think was right around 9 miles.
See, yeah,
Which
I mean, no way.
The miles, the money to miles math didn't work out on it, at least not for my truck. I don't have a Prius. But they, I got a double Sam's pickup a couple days, about 3 or 4 days ago. I paid 68 something. It was 8.6 miles or something like that. It was super easy, and it was from the Sam's. I've got 4 Sam's in my zone, and I only go to one. The rest of them are terrible. And the one I go to, I get my stuff fast, so I'm hardly any downtime waiting. I waited like 4 minutes, and they were out there loading this order. I'm like, awesome, and I always help load. I don't make them do the work.
Okay, so this, I'm glad we got to throw this in because I've had UDM on a few times, but we've never actually dove into this because we've hit on other subjects. So because I've actually I don't think we've ever discussed it. I've probably said the word, but we've never discussed the platform. Now they're here in Denver. I have onboarded and I have some questions. So I think this last topic should be Delivrd. And for those that are interesting, Delivrd is, from what I can tell so far, I'm about to ask Tim a couple questions because I just onboarded through UDM's code and all this, but literally 2 days ago. But I'm on and everything. But Delivrd is like a last mile catering app. Is that a good way to say it?
Well, it's straight up a catering app. They primarily do all they do from now. I don't think they have any restaurant partners yet, like Deliver that.
They're all scheduled.
It's all Easy Cater. People order, they log on to Easy Cater, they pick their restaurant, they order it, and then Easy Cater uses in my market 3 different apps to dispatch through, and that's Deliver that, and DoorDash. I almost said something else.
And Paraworks.
And do they? Okay, I didn't know they went through Para. They didn't. Well, I asked for. I've been in contact with Delivrd, and I've got a list of who they dispatched through, and that was the 3 they gave me. They didn't say anything about Paraworks, so you need to talk to them about that because I didn't know that's where they come from. No, Easy Cater, not Delivrd. I've been.
I don't know that we want to be. Right. I don't know that we want to be on that list because the coolest thing about when they bring us on, I mean, I am the team at Paraworks or Parapass now. And then I report to David and Shan, and like we are the team of Parapass. And then there's people that can help us underneath us, but the things that we're trying to land. So when Easy Cater's coming to us about markets, it's awesome because it means somebody, usually DoorDash, is dropping the ball huge. Good. And they're getting pissed. And so we're not in every market with that, but yeah, some of them you can find them, or the food fetched like Bud Soda and all kinds of these apps that are kind of starting to come to Para. But Delivrd
try and get the Wichita Falls, Texas market, because the only app that Easy Cater dispatches to down there is DoorDash, and Dashing Grandpa hates DoorDash.
Oh yeah.
And
Well,
that
he used to be on
I did
another.
that
He
for him.
used to be on another one. Like it was an off-brand app. It's like Busy Bee or something.
That it might be local to his area.
Something B, yeah, I don't know, but I think it used to do them too. But regardless, yeah, Parapass hasn't launched there either. We're trying, but Parapass is coming to almost everywhere. But to the Delivrd app, I got to tell you. So here was my initial investigation and onboarding. So I knew I texted UDM, hey, send me your code. I'm sure you have one. I'm about to onboard because they're live in my city. Now I went to the app. And first thing I notice, I always notice this stuff. It's never perfect. Usually it's not perfect. Like in last mile courier space, Curri has a good rating on both Play Store and Apple App Store, but most apps don't. First thing I noticed with Delivrd was 1.9 star rating.
Really, I didn't even pay
And so I was
attention to
like,
that.
okay, what's the issue here? I mean, like, because usually that says something to me. It's not, I don't take it for, I mean, like all of the last mile courier apps, like Freight and all those, they're all 3 stars or just barely under, just 3.1. So nobody's ever at 5, really. I mean, Curry's at like 4.6. So, I mean, like, but the rest are pretty much around 3, but
I
this
don't
was
really
pretty
have
low.
I don't have any issues with the app. I think it runs pretty smooth. I mean, it
So
doesn't glitch up on me.
here was my other thing though. So I am running it, and I already don't like doing this. I do it for curry. You'll know this, Tim, because you have to do this for curry. If you because you don't have to leave the curry app open, guys. You should just be getting drop downs, have all your alerts set, but you do have to leave it always on. It's something I don't like doing. I don't like
Yep.
using the always on feature with almost any app. If it requires it, in fact, other than like working apps and very few, any app that requires always on, I usually just delete the app because I'm not going to have it burning my battery. So I don't want it to do that. But obviously it needs to have that. But it also wanted it said it will not work without the refresh on.
Without the refresh, I don't even know what that is.
Okay, so like on mine, I don't want to turn the refresh on. Like that's where it like calls to my phone every 20 seconds and wastes power, like even in a standby mode.
I know you can be inactive on there and they will still send you offers, but you can't access the information until you go active. I haven't. Yeah, you can turn it on off. You turn you're on duty or you're off duty. Let me click it off. Yeah, off duty. I've had it in off duty right when I started using it, and I was still getting offers, but I had to go on duty to view it.
So do you have it as allow location services always?
Oh yeah, I've got like
Okay.
all those on.
Right. But see, okay, so I'm going to show you here because so see where right above cellular data it says background app refresh,
Yeah, let me
and then
see.
it's kind of grayed out. It's because I literally had to allow this one. I don't allow any app to do that.
Is that in settings? Well, if you once you hear what you can get paid on deliver that, you'll leave it on all the time.
Okay. I mean,
Because I don't know if you've heard some of them. Some of my I've been getting some hate on some other gig tubers channels because they're also on delivered and they've never seen orders the size of what I've taken, and I can't. Where the hell's this is my new phone and there it is. They moved my settings. I'm trying to find.
okay, so Tim, I was onboarded on Saturday, which was September 2nd on a holiday weekend. Probably not going to see anything till next week. Did all the videos. I'm onboarded. I'm live. Let me see what happens if I open the app because I'm really that unfamiliar. Um, but I
I
will
don't
say
have.
this. I'm now one see, and now it says this app doesn't work without the background app refresh enabled. Turn it on in your settings, which I've done 100 times. Does this
I
every
don't
time
even
it
have. I
opens.
don't even have that on mine. That's probably because I'm
Every
Android
time
and
I
you're
open it,
Apple.
I see this. But again, it's only been since Saturday. But when I go to settings, it is turned on. So I don't know why it doesn't like that. That's number one. But if I hit cancel, it does go into it says logging in, and then it goes into the app. And it says all clear. Looks like you have no tasks for today.
That's how. Yeah, that's what mine.
But it tells me
Well,
that in two different steps that you have to turn this background app refresh on. It is on, but if you have the app open, like if I had this open right now and something came in Where does it go, or what happens?
I keep mine in dark mode all the time, but
okay. Yeah, I don't know.
because
It keeps it, in fact, no matter what I touch, it keeps saying go to your settings, and every time I hit open, they're all on. I've got them all on. I don't know what
it
it's
might be
wanting.
an Apple thing.
Maybe I'll just delete it and then reinstall it or whatever and see if maybe now it'll work. But at the same time, it is like I'm onboarded, it's working. What do I expect to see? I'll see texts.
Your first, yeah, you'll it'll pop up. I don't know if you heard that sound when mine was going off.
Yeah.
It's an obnoxiously loud. Well, actually, let me turn it down on this phone. It would not let me do that on my old phone. It was just blasting loud. But you'll need that because sometimes I'll send it to you right in the morning. You're usually awake anyway. But they'll send you the offer. You'll see. Let me see if I can find a screenshot. No, my phone just locked.
I obviously
Anyway,
went through the videos.
You'll see two
answered the
different
questions.
things. The top one will be your pickup with the time, and then the second option will be the your drop off, and then they'll send you a text that will have the pickup time, restaurant, and what they're going to pay. Now on Apple, you may be able to click that second one right away, and you can open it up, scroll down, you'll see the actual food subtotal, the breakdown on the base pay and the tip. Mine, I got to close the app, reopen it, and then go to the tomorrow's task, and then click on it. Then I can open it up. And somebody tells me it's because it's an Android, because he doesn't have that issue on his iPhone. But then you can make the decision whether you think it's worth it or not. Your first 10, it's worth it. Take everything they send you the first 10, unless it's really that far out there and it just makes no sense at all, because that's your newbie stage. Because people are trying to figure out, they're like, how are you getting these big orders? I say, I don't know. Because my biggest one's been $3,400 worth of soul taco, and I made $394 on it. And because the restaurant didn't have it ready, that cost me an extra 50 minutes. But I spent about an hour and a half to maybe an hour and 40 minutes on this order. I made $394 and drove about 11 miles, 12 miles, something like that. Then I just did one for 360. That was on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I drove 6 minutes to the restaurant and 1.1 miles from the restaurant to the drop off. From me leaving my driveway 40 minutes later, I was $360 richer.
And you knew this when you took it?
Yeah. It says you're going to make it.
From what I can tell, it's completely transparent, but I haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah, they are. I don't know if you've ever heard of Cars and Cribs YouTube channel. Yeah. He just did an interview with the CEO of Delivrd, and I know UDM did one also, but Cars and Cribs, he's actually sitting down at a table with them and gets a lot of information out of them. It's a must-watch video for people interested in Delivrd. I knew a lot of it already, but there was things that he touched on that I did have questions, and he got those answers. But you just got to hustle. I mean, I've taken 64 deliveries for them now. That's all I've taken. And I'm trying to get to their Emerald Elite Club now. They've got it's the top 10% of your market. And I've got 157 deliveries I think I got to get up to. 147. That's going to keep going up. When they just launched this, I was at 50 deliveries, and I needed 142 to get that. What that's going to give you is more priority to the top paying orders. They've got this open opportunity board now that pops up at 8 o'clock. You might have got an email on it, 8 p.m. your time. I recommend being on it at 7:59. If you show up at 8:01, you're too late, because the order's already going to be snatched if there's any on there. And you get to get on that at 7:30 if you're in the Emerald Elite Club. And I think what's happening right now is they're just getting gobbled up by all them the top 10%. Because in 2 weeks straight, I've not seen one offer on that board. But they still send them to you the old way too. That's where I've gotten the big ones.
So so again, it's been a holiday weekend,
right?
As soon as we're done here in a few minutes, I actually am going to uninstall and reinstall it, just in case I said at any point, don't enable that. Oh, and even though I went back and enabled it, maybe somehow it's glitched and it's caught in some weird world where it's saying,
see, I use an Android, and the only problem I've ever had is when that offer comes in, I can't click on it to see what the food total is. And I finally figured out if I close the app, reopen it, then go to the next day for that task, I can do that.
But when the offer comes in to you, is it a true round robin, or is that an offer to you?
To you. It's directly to you and only you. Now
Okay.
that open order board, that opportunity board, I call it the green board because you'll see it's bright green. Actually, hang on. Oh
And
shoot.
again, I forget because it told you in the videos. Is it 5 minutes? How long do you have to grab it?
Sometimes it's a lot of times it's 15 minutes.
Okay.
And
I mean, how do I know? Like, how do I know? First of all, if I see it, I'm going to grab it right away if I can. But how do I know how long I
yeah,
have
you can
before they pass it to the next
it
person?
tells you in the text message.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, it'll tell you in the text message, which I'll be able to pull one up and show you here.
Okay. Because yeah, I mean, I'm just again, I haven't even seen one, but I'm guessing because I've been told, I already know that like DJ and Brett are out here and they travel and work and they've been already onboarded in Denver.
I don't
Okay.
know. Yeah, I can't get it to focus up close. Come
Yeah.
on, focus. Will you focus? No, it won't. Yeah,
I mean,
anyway,
it's okay.
it says
think I get
Deliverd.
it, but
Here's exactly what it said. Deliverd sent you an order for tomorrow from Chevy's Fresh Mex at 10:35 a.m. with a projected earning of $31.80. Accept/decline within 15 minutes in the app. Now, sometimes in the morning, you'll get their last second ones, and you'll have 5 minutes. So you really got to watch that. If you get an offer in
okay.
the morning, make sure you pay attention because I didn't a couple times. I still got the order, but I'm like, gosh, one of those times I looked into it so much, it might have been 6 or 7 minutes, and it woke me up. So I was still wiping the sleep out of my eyes, even trying to focus on it.
So you did use a word though there, even in their wordage that said estimated.
Projected. I've never
Projected,
seen
sorry.
one. I've never seen one go less.
Okay.
I'm on some delivery groups on the Facebook, and some people I see them complaining that their order went down. And I'm like, I've never seen it. I'll complain about it if it ever happens.
I
The
mean,
only thing
do you see a lot go up, or is it usually that's just
I
it?
don't
That's
see
great.
many go up. I've seen a handful where the customer actually added food to their order that gets adjusted because you're a tip. And when it's in the breakdown, I mean, it's quick, easy math to figure out. It's usually 10, 15, or 20% they tip. And I've seen what Deliverd will do is if there's no tip, because Easy Cater lets people order food without a tip, and Deliverd will put a tip in there. So that one I declined yesterday for 24 or $5, $30, I don't know, whatever it was. That was 30. It was 15 base pay and 15 tip on the money. That Deliverd had that tip. That was a no tip offer. And I don't like taking those because it's no tip. But I mean, if I did one, there's a barbecue joint in my neighborhood called Naven's Barbecue. It takes me 3 minutes to drive there from my house. I never even hit a stoplight. I literally zigzagged through the neighborhood, and then it was going over to where my cash customer lives, over 7 minutes away from there, and I had to get him lunch. So it put me right in the area, and I'm like, well, this makes sense. I'll make the $30, and then they added to it, so I ended up making $36.34 on it. Everything was ready when I got there, so it was just me walking in, grabbing it, and when I got to the place, I had more setup than I usually do. I actually had to pull each box lunch out, and they had warmer shelves. This is the first time I saw it. They had like kind of like salamanders, but not so hot.
Okay.
They were heated. The bottom was heated, but they had little racks that you set it on, so it wouldn't cook the stuff, but it would just keep it a little warm. And I snapped my picture, and out the door I was. A lot of my deliveries, I don't set anything up. I'm handing it off, just sitting it there, giving it to somebody with a cart, and they take it to wherever they got to go.
I mean, is most of their stuff, just because they do catering, most of their stuff isn't $300-$400 orders though.
No, I've done a lot. I typically try not to take any less than 30 or $35, but right now it's been slow. They let me know this is the slowest time of the year. Mid to late September is supposed to really pick up, and that's what I'm looking forward to. And that's what's been holding me off getting on Deliver That, because then I got to commit a lot of time to that. And like Rideshare Lisa's doing really well up in her market with Deliver That now, because you only have to take 10 deliveries and you can get in their preferred driver program. You have to take a test and pass it, but I think you and I would have no problem taking that test, because it's probably stuff that's embedded into our soul.
Yeah.
I don't know what's on it, but I didn't ask her. But
I would love to see a copy of that test, by the way, because I believe that this will come out this week, you guys. You're hearing this on Tuesday. But on this Thursday, the date is the 7th, I believe. And we have the roundtable that night, but in the afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, I needed to mention this. Mike Karubi, Kim Cavan, Karen Anderson, and I are going to tackle the independent contractor subject. And I believe that what Tim is talking about with Deliver That actually violates the independent contractor law. You can't have tests.
Well, that's Deliver That. That's to get another preferred.
Right. I mean, you can't, but
program.
it's the same. It's the same problem DoorDash creates for all the apps that, like you were saying, Top Dasher. Now there's like what Top Dasher 1 and 2, like 50% and then 70%, and they're not supposed to be doing that.
I do recommend one thing. After 10 deliveries, Deliverance going to send you 2 free bags. They give you a newbie starter kit or whatever. You'll get like a lanyard that says Delivered, a tagger to hang from your mirror, some sunglasses, and 2 catering bags. And they're full size. They hold 4 full pans. You can shove 5 in there, but then you got weight, smashing lids. But I think after I hit 20, I didn't know they were going to do this. They sent me another 2. But I ordered a 3-pack of their catering bags from their website for $20. It's not much money. And then they said I passed another milestone, so they're sending me 2 more bags. So they know I have 7 of their bags. Because before, I mean, and you're also building a relationship with them. They don't know you from Adam. So you got to basically build up a portfolio with them and a relationship. The more you do for them, the more you'll get in the long run. And it seems like that's the same thing that's working with Delivered That for certain drivers. But I told them beforehand, look, I already have catering bags. I got all this stuff. I got a wagon. I got all kinds of stuff. And it wasn't until I actually bought bags and they knew they sent me 4 bags that they really finally started giving me big offers. Because that day I picked up that $3,400 worth of food. It was just afternoon. I'd just done a delivery for $113 from them. I was sitting in Costco's parking lot trying to get an Instacart. And then I'm like, oh, Delivered, sending me an offer. Let me look at it. And I'm like, whoa, it was for $387. I was like, holy cow.
I already think right there, luckily Tim just saved us from Glitchgate too, because you guys would have accused that we knew something that would have tipped you off to help you. And what I picked up out of,
man.
No, but what I picked up out of that when you were talking was, you know what? If again, I'll relate it back to the bar industry. If I'm scheduling out bar shifts and somehow bags are needed, and some of you have these ripped up DoorDash and Grubhub bags, and Tim comes in with 10 delivered bags, Tim's getting the best section and the best shift. You guys don't want to think that's fair? I don't care. It's not.
They know I
making
have
the apps.
I'm about to order 3 more.
But my point is, it wouldn't shock me if you got a bump by buying from them.
Yeah, that's what I like. I was talking to Lisa. She's like, but I don't need them. I go, I don't care if you don't need them. Stick them in the back left corner of your closet and forget about them. Keep them in the box they come in. I just want them to know that you have their bags. They will know. But I sent them pictures, and I said, but I sent them pictures too of my whole setup, and I still wasn't getting anything over $40-$45. And then after I have 7 of their bags. My 2 catering bags, my original ones, are way better quality, but that they didn't come from there. Same with, I've heard somebody say with DoorDash, they bought a catering bag through DoorDash. All of a sudden, they were welcomed into the large order program. I'm like, really? I don't want to buy their bag, but but yeah, sometimes that's what you got to do.
Well, you can just call. You can just call DoorDash too. I don't know how. I mean, I honestly still think that works. I still have had people tell me that. It just depends who you get.
You give me that number, because that's all I want to do is large orders for them. I don't want to do anything else, but I would do DoorDash if I could get their.
I mean, that's how Flex has promoted that for years.
And I never knew the number to actually call.
I'll try. I don't even know if it's some specific number.
I have no idea.
I'll have to figure it out, because I never even again. I probably more than Tim, even because of some of the crap I had to go through and the really getting an understanding of this one specific company. It might not even be worse than the others, but DoorDash, I went through some real crap with them, and I watched people I know very well at Para go through some real crap with them. And some of the conversations we had with them, even with a very overpriced attorney, we were asking some very fair questions that I thought, hey, other people have asked these too, but we're paying $800 to an attorney. You're asking us to shut this down. You should be giving us some very specific answers. It shouldn't just be just shut up and do what we say. which is
Right.
kind of where they tried to take it. I mean, we made them give some answers. And the very first time when they told David to take down the tip transparency, he said, no, they said, you have a week. They gave us a week. And they said, you have a week from Monday. And this is when we're only out of the San Francisco office, not the Austin office. But we had a week. We got the lawyer, and we had the lawyer draft a letter to them because they said the next Monday at 10, we were served at 10 on a Monday. The next Monday at 10, we'd be served again if it wasn't down in this, and it would be no joke. And we had them served that same day at 2 p.m., 4 hours later. And we said that we had to hear from them by 9 a.m. that following Monday, which was an hour before our deadline, that they were going to provide tip transparency on the DoorDash site. Otherwise, we weren't taking ours down.
I still don't think they do tip transparency, but I
No,
know
they didn't, and we
They-
didn't take it down, and that's when things got very real, very
Oh,
quick.
shit.
All of a sudden, the one attorney that was talking to R1 became like 30.
I do
Like
know
the DoorDash floodgates of attorneys opened, and it was like, okay, now we're serious. What are you doing? Or are you just going to do what we say? And it became like, we're just going to do what you say, because we knew it was back to the drawing board. It wasn't worth it.
Another reason, guys, to leave that DoorDash off, just turn it off. Forget about it.
Yeah. I mean, this is how big of a fight they were putting up to a company that was doing what they should be doing. Like, we were providing what they should be providing if you're independent contractors. So that's a whole nother story.
But for the catering, I love the catering orders. That's
yeah. I mean, if I honestly, like, I should find out anyway, because Flex should tell me so that you and I can both do it. Because I actually might open up DoorDash too if all I was doing was LOP.
Well, there's also that Zifty app out there that is not available in my market yet, but I think they're another one doing easy caters. I think that I know there's various areas on the East Coast. They're kind of scattered. So yeah. I've got it in my phone, but I can't. The only way I can sign up is if I sign up in another state. And
yeah, and there's the Favor app too, but that won't do you any good either if it's not in your, like, it's coming to my market. Like,
which app is it?
It's called Favor. It used to be called something
else. Yeah, I've heard of Favor, but I thought they went away.
No, it used to be something else, and now it became Favor. Favor actually was started out of Utah by some of the people who created the hamper app, the laundry app. So they created Favor too, and Favor kind of took off in a weird direction because they don't over onboard, so you'll get on a wait list if it is in your market, but it turned into more of like tasks for very rich people.
Oh,
so people I know who are on Favored are tipped very well.
Good to know, because we've got some expensive areas here.
Yeah, but it's just one of those really difficult ones to get on. Like, it's coming here in 2 weeks, and then I told Sergio in LA and Chris from the Rideshare guy in Buffalo, I told them about it. They both checked, and it's not in their market. So Favor's not everywhere at all.
There's a grocery app. I tried getting it on them before, and then they said my back seat wasn't big enough. And I'm like, it's called WEEE exclamation point. And I'm like, I have a 6.5 foot bed with a camper shell on it. Yeah, but your back seat's not big enough to I'm like, I don't, because I have an extended cab, not a full 4-door. So I was gonna. That's been a few months. I mean, I was going back and forth with the guy on emails or text messages or something. I'm like, I have a camper shell. That's what I deliver all my Instacart stuff in and whatnot. But whatever, I was gonna try it again. I tried about a month ago. I was just gonna say I have a full size 4-door truck. All full, not an extended cab. But now you need an invite code. But what they deliver is from ethnic Asian and Hispanic grocery stores. And I'm like, well, that'd be cool, but I can't get on them because you need an invite code now. And I don't know where to get an invite code. I searched the internet all over. I can't find one.
So if anybody listening, there's 2,500 downloads a week. If any of you guys listening know the answer to this, please email me. And I'll let Tim know. And
I'd like to give it a try.
Yeah,
I'm always open to try a new one. It's either going to work or it won't. I figured that out. But I know that, like, Delivrd that they will work. You just got to keep with it. You can't. Yeah. You can't just give it 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
No, that's why. I mean, like, I literally, it's new to my market. actually there was an ad out that said coming September 23rd or something, or 17th. And then like DJ and Britt are like, no, we're on it in Denver right now. And I'm like,
Yeah,
what?
the
So
lowest
I went in there. I'm like, wait, they are already here. And it was like 3 weeks early.
the absolute
And I'm
lowest
like,
one I took was $22 and something, but it was in my first 10. I would
yeah.
after I got out of that newbie status, I have no way I'll take them up for 22. Unless it
Yeah,
literally
I mean, to me too,
was
I think
in
you might know this.
what's that?
Oh, I was gonna say you might know this, that like I think it might work out well if it's kind of really realistic to how the app made it sound, like 10 to 2 is most of the deliveries. If that really is the
Yeah,
case, it'll work out well for me because I do most of my curries from 5:30 to 10, 11.
I rarely see them that early. But well, yeah, that one day that Soul Taco, the $3,400 one, that was for 2:30 pickup. So I'm like, I just made 113 on an order, and I'm gonna make another 387. But because they took so long, they paid me extra few bucks, and I made 394. But I was pretty much done for the day. But I wasn't. I went and made a couple more bucks doing something else. I don't remember what, but I know I did more than those two deliveries. And there's been days now though that I went out and done two deliveries and done for the day. And last week, when we
Yeah.
had that damn heat wave, I did 4 deliveries between Monday and Saturday, and I was $700 I was at for 4 deliveries. Like that's
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, only one of those wasn't a delivered. 3 delivered, and I did it was either a $85 Spark or Instacart. I don't remember, but that was it. But it was so hot I couldn't work in it, man. I had a heat stroke 10 years ago. That kills me.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I am too, man. I'm not looking to do dollars to dollar, like 3, 4, 4, 3, 3, 4, 4. Like I'm looking for big pay stuff.
Yes, big pay. Now with
I
curry,
mean, of course, everybody would say, "Oh, I want big pay too," but I'm saying like I waited out. I waited out for big pay jobs
you
because
got to work, man. You got to put in the time
yeah,
before they start giving you that stuff. But I know something I was thinking about. A lot of us gig workers rely on that mileage to write off at the end of the year on our taxes. Well, when I'm getting these golly whomper orders that I'm only driving 8 miles to do and making all this money off of them, that's going to hurt me in the long run. So curry orders, I need some of those that'll rack up some mileage but still pay decent.
oh yeah.
Not I've never seen
I
one
mean,
that
dude,
pays.
people when I put out that, I don't know if you ever saw it, man, but before we get out of here, I got to say this. When I put out the thing, right, I'd already taken it, but I wanted to know what people thought of me taking it. When I took that $1,550 order to Vegas,
Okay, yeah,
I wanted to see what everybody thought. What do you guys think about this? It's going to take, it's almost 900, or it takes about 10, 11 hours realistically from Denver to Vegas. So 22 hours, I'm doing, 1,400 miles, 1,550. And, like people were like, dude, that seems stupid. In my head, I'm thinking I already like the dollar amount anyway, because I
yeah.
turned that around quick. But B, look at those miles, you guys. You forget miles are the gig worker's best friend.
When it comes, yeah, you write them off then the year. Plus, that's all highway miles on top of it.
Yeah.
I don't think you're driving through too many small towns to get from Denver to Vegas.
But that makes up for all the little stuff that you guys might be dashing around doing,
Yeah.
because even your insurance and everybody, you can Google it. Everybody will tell you the most accidents happen locally.
Oh yeah.
I mean, on a highway, you're actually much better off. You're doing highway miles easier on your car. The whole
There may be
thing.
more fatal accidents on the highway, but there's a lot less accidents on the highway than all the
Yeah.
fender benders around town, stop and go traffic. With everybody like this, they're facing their phone, hand on the steering wheel. They just
Yep.
passed the law here forbidding us to drive while texting, which I'm fine with that. They're really focused on it being in your hand. Mine's always in
Yep.
mount, so I don't have to worry about that part of it. But I don't. I use voice text. I don't look.
In Tahoe, my friends that live in Truckee, not only is it a hands-free law, it's a $500 fine for your first one. It's 1,000
Wow,
for
that's
each
worse than here.
additional. But here's the thing: not only is it hands-free, it has to be, it's called distance free. You can't be in the driver's seat and reach it. So if you want to use your phone as GPS, you have to put it on the air vent on the passenger side as close to the door as you can get.
That's wild.
No, you can't even have it in a center console holder. That's a $500 ticket.
150 is $150 your first offense here, and I think it goes up to 500 after that. But I read into it a couple nights ago because it just happened, and like
I guess they just get so many tourists in that come in and rent cars that they just were like, enough.
I've been behind so many people. You can totally tell they got their head in their phone. They're swerving. Their speed's erratic. It's up and down, and they drive worse than drunk drivers. At least a drunk tries to look at the road. They try and see where they're going. But people staring at their phones, I mean, they're oblivious to what's going on around them. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
So I'm for the law.
It's amazing that these phones don't create some kind of like a metric, almost like what Display Ride can do with seeing how you drive, but where if you use a certain navigation app, it says SMS disabled or something.
Well, I'm sure
so it knows that. So it knows, hey, you're using this app. That means you don't have texting available to you.
Oh, that could be something. If you're going over a certain speed, it could disable it.
Just in general, like if you launch this app map, it doesn't let you, if you use texting, it'll crash the app, kind of thing.
Well, that would screw us.
Well, but I know, but I mean, a lot of us have two phones or whatever too. So I mean,
because I do a lot of the messaging while I'm driving. Sometimes if the customer's trying to get a hold of me, I always let them know I'm on the way. I can
maybe at least while the wheels were moving.
Right. Well, I also pull over a lot if I got catering orders coming through, unless I'm literally on the highway. As soon as I hear the Deliverance sound, I'm in a parking lot, I'm somewhere. I just pull over as quick as I can because I've got to focus on that for a minute. Same with a good curry order. You got to do that math in your head real quick. Like the one that went to Plano, Texas, and I got all pissed because I couldn't get it. Somebody grabbed it as soon as it hit $1,250. But then when I looked at the cargo,
you got to do them. You got to do them real quick.
Yeah, well, the cargo was too tall. It wouldn't even fit in my truck because I've got that camper shell. So I wasn't so bummed out. But yeah, that was a trip similar to yours going to Plano, Texas. It was 672 miles or something like that one way. So however many hours that's going to be, 6, 7 something. I don't know. I would have done it just to get the hell out of here.
Yeah, I like the long trip ones too. So before we get out of here, I want to thank Tim for joining me. I want to thank all of you for listening. And well, I mean, first of all, how do people find you if they're interested?
You can go to YouTube and just type at Gigwise. One word, Gigwise.
So I'll put Tim's link to his channel in the show notes. You guys can find it through there. But that's a wrap for this week's podcast, and we'll be back Friday for the new drop of the Thursday night roundtable. I know you guys are liking that. I've been bringing that over. It's just a little extra work for me, but that's okay. And other than that, we will see you back here next Tuesday. Please be safe, earn smart, and be good to each other.